so blind. I'm a man. Can't you see what I am? I live and I breathe for you. But what good does it do if I ain't got you? Ain't got you, baby. You don't know what it's like, baby. You don't know what it's like to love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you. To love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you. No, 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 no. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like. You know what it's like to love somebody, to love somebody.
The road is long, with a many a winding tongue that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I'm leaning at all, I'm leaning with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why not share? And the road doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. I can think of younger days when living for my life was everything a man could want to do. I could never see tomorrow, but I was never told about the sorrows.
How can you mend a broken heart? How can you stop the rain from falling down? How can you stop the sun from shining? What makes the world go round? How can you mend this broken man? How can a loser ever win? Please help me mend my broken heart and let me live again. I can still feel the breeze that rustles through the trees and misty memories of days gone by. We could never see tomorrow.
Well, it's hard to be a gambler betting on the number that changes every time. When you think you're gonna win, you think she's giving in. A stranger's all you'll find. Yeah, but it's hard to figure out what she's all about, but she's woman through and through. She's a complicated lady, so call her my baby, a moody blue. Oh, moody blue, tell me am I getting through? I keep hanging on, trying to learn your song, but I never do. Oh, moody blue, tell me who I'm talking to. You're like night and day, it's hard to say which one's you. Well, when Monday comes, she's Tuesday. When Tuesday comes, she's Wednesday. And to another day again. Her personality unwinds just like a ball of twine on a spool that never ends. Just when I think I know her well, her emotions reveal she's not the person that I thought I knew. But she's a complicated lady, so I call her my baby, a moody blue. Oh, moody blue, tell me am I getting through? I keep hanging on, trying to learn the song, but I never do. Yeah, moody blue, tell me who I'm talking to. You're like night and day, it's hard to say which one is you. I'm afraid of my moody blue. Oh, moody blue, tell me who I'm talking to. You're like night and day, it's hard to say which one is you. Yeah, moody blue, tell me am I getting through? I keep hanging on, trying to learn the song.
From mountains torn by war and strife, you carved your path, you built your life. With steady hands and iron will, you chased your dreams through dust and hill. A miner deep beneath the sun, a builder when the day was done. With opals bright and steel held fast, you shaped a future from the past. You loved your food, your daily way, 3 glasses of water to start each day, a piece of cheese, a quiet meal, a simple life with strength and zeal. You watched the races, knew the form, through wins and losses calm and warm. And when young Reuben called you Opar, your heart lit up, it soared so far. You rarely spoke of pain or fear, but showed your love through what was near. You taught by doing, not by word, yet every action deeply heard. You told us all with quiet grace, you have to look after yourself in this place. And so we will, and hold you dear, your memory strong and your spirit near. I speak of Paul Lovric. On behalf of Paul and Simon and Reuben, I warmly welcome you and thank you for your presence here today. It is so much appreciated. I would also like to welcome those who cannot be here with us in the chapel and are joining us by live stream. And a special hello to family members from overseas and mainland Australia. Welcome. My name is Delma Carpenter, and along with Peter and the staff at Parkside Funerals, we thank you for giving us the privilege of being part of Paul's farewell. And a little housekeeping. If your mobile phones are not on silent or turned off, now's a great time to do so. We gather today to honour and farewell a remarkable man, a man who lived a life shaped by hardship, courage and resilience, a life filled with extraordinary stories, deep love for his family and a fierce work ethic that never faltered when in the face of adversity. Paul was in his 90th year when he passed, and while his death was not unexpected, to his family and those close to him, the finality of his passing has left a profound sense of sadness and grief. To lose someone so dear is never easy to accept. Paul was more than just his years. He was a treasured part of the family, and his absence leaves a void that words cannot fill. Coming together during this difficult time, may we find comfort in shared memories of Paul, and in the midst of our grief, let us also celebrate the beauty of his life and the indelible mark that he has left on each of us. So today, as we share stories and memories of Paul's life, it's setting that path for you to journey forward. It's an honour for me today to be able to present Paul's eulogy. Paul was born in the small town of Kopres in Bosnia, then part of Yugoslavia, to parents Benedict and Carter. He was the middle child with an older sister Sabina and a younger sister Nicola. His early years were marked by tragedy. His father was killed during World War II, and he grew up without him in a country scarred by conflict. His mother, Carter, bore the heavy burden of raising her children alone, doing the best she could under extremely difficult circumstances. The family were fortunate to be given a house in Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, and it was there that Paul began to build his future. But even in the city, the scars of war were never far away. As a young boy, Paul witnessed the devastation of bombings, losing family, and seeing destruction that no child should ever see. These early experiences shaped the determined and courageous man he would become. At just 13 or 14 years of age, Paul began an apprenticeship in carpentry, learning a trade that would serve him well for the rest of his life. And like many young men in Yugoslavia, he was later called up for compulsory military service. And it was in the army that Paul's athletic talent shone through. He was a top-class athlete, winning the decathlon in military competitions that mirrored the Olympic Games. But Paul's independent spirit and principles soon led him into dangerous territory. He refused to join the Communist Party an act of defiance that could have cost him his life. His only choice was to escape. He crossed the border, leaving behind everything he knew, and found himself in a refugee camp in Italy. While he initially planned to go to Germany, fate stepped in when an Australian man suggested a different path, Australia. Paul took that chance. He set sail for a new life and carried with him hope, grit, and a willingness to start again. The ship journey was full of laughter and memory, especially the moment they crossed the equator, throwing flour on each other and jumping in the pool to celebrate. He first arrived in Geelong and worked in a glass factory making bottles for Coca-Cola and other companies, a job that he truly disliked. So like many immigrants of the time, Paul followed the work and made his way to Mildura picking grapes, and later joined the team constructing the Moe Dam. But it was when he travelled to the South Australian outback to mine opals in Andamooka that Paul found something he loved, a sense of freedom, excitement and hard work on his own terms. He was a successful opal miner. He struck it lucky more than once, finding veins of precious stone and saying it was like walking into a bank and taking out as much money as you liked. But when the weather turned unbearably hot, he headed south to Tasmania, and it was there in Burnie that his life would change again, this time in the most wonderful way. He met June Wesker. They married in Burnie Park in the early 70s, and together they raised 2 sons, Paul Jr. and Simon. June, ever supportive and adventurous, even joined him in Andamooka, living there for about 3 years before the couple returned to Burnie. With the proceeds of Paul's opal finds, they purchased a home in Fortuna Avenue, paying in cash. So much so that the Commonwealth Bank called the police to check if it was all legitimate. Paul then went to work on the construction of the Savage River pipeline and was employed by an American company. He drove a 4-wheel drive Land Rover with drills mounted on the front, boring holes and setting charges to clear paths for the bulldozers. It was tough work, but he thrived on it. His skills were many. Paul was a clever man, mathematically minded, practical and fast. He was known and respected in the construction industry as a steel fixer. He helped build many of the key buildings in Burnie: Reese House, the library, the Child Health Building, the Council Chambers and Woolworths in Smithton. Engineers and architects respected him. He knew his trade inside and out and took pride in his work. He had a reputation for precision, and if Paul built it, you could trust it would stand the test of time. But as with many tradesmen, Paul was not immune to the ups and downs of the industry. When construction slowed and work dried up, Paul took whatever job he could find to keep supporting his family. Eventually, he was forced to retire due to a bad back, his body giving way after a lifetime of heavy physical work. As much as Paul was a man of strength and determination, he was also a man who deeply appreciated the simple pleasures in life, especially when it came to food. He loved a good meal, particularly pork belly with roast veggies, as well as cured meats, Greek yoghurt, feta cheese and salami. He had a strong sense of routine: breakfast at the same time every morning, always with 3 glasses of water to start the day, a piece of cheese in the afternoon and dinner like clockwork. He didn't smoke, he didn't drink. He steered clear of takeaway except for the very rare occasion when he'd indulge in a bit of KFC. Paul had strong principles about what was good for you, and he lived by them. His lifestyle reflected discipline and self-respect. He lived cleanly, worked hard and looked after himself in ways that we could all learn from. In retirement, Paul developed another passion, horse racing. He didn't just dabble, he studied. He knew the jockeys, the trainers, the weights, the form guides, and he had his little system. The beach hotel became his go-to spot, not just for putting on a bet, but for socialising and watching races with others who shared his same enthusiasm. He loved the challenge of a quadrella and followed it very closely. And for Paul, it wasn't gambling, it was a hobby, a passion and a discipline. He also had a soft spot for animals, and at one stage he had a budgie who would perch on his shoulder, pacing backward and forth, chewing on his ear while Paul sat studying his form guide. And I think there's a photo of that in the service booklet today. This was a small, funny sight, but it said so much about Paul's gentle way with animals. Family was at the heart of Paul's life. Losing his wife June in 2005 was incredibly difficult. She was the love of his life, and her passing left a space that could never be filled. But he carried on as he always did, with quiet strength. Paul Jr. and Simon remembered their dad as a strict father who had high expectations. He wasn't one to hand out praise or wear his heart on his sleeve, but they knew through his actions just how deeply he loved them. He showed his care in all the practical things he did by working hard, providing for them and always being there when it counted. They remember fishing trips with him at the Burnie Wharf, Doctor's Rocks and the Stanley Wharf, always hoping to hook a trevally. And some of their best memories were up at the Great Lakes, camping by the water, surrounded by peace and quiet, casting a line in for a trout. These were very special times. When Paul became a grandfather and Reuben came along and called him Opa, it was as if his heart opened wider than ever before. Reuben brought him immense joy. Opa thought the world of him, and it's fair to say that Reuben got away with far more than his dad and uncle did. Though Paul could be reserved, he had a great sense of humour and was an incredible storyteller. He could hold a room with his tales, especially with his life adventures, escaping across borders, striking opals in the outback, or his early days in the army. Yet behind all those stories was a man who was private, fiercely independent and deeply proud. He taught himself to read and write, refusing to let limitations define him. He was headstrong, resilient, determined, and didn't suffer fools lightly. He liked to do things himself, and right up until the last few years, he remained incredibly self-reliant. In recent times, Simon took on the role of his carer, and their bond only deepened. Paul lived by a set of values that was simple, strong, and clear, and one of his most repeated sayings was, "You have to look after yourself." It was more than just a phrase, it was a way of life. He believed in self-reliance, discipline, and doing things properly. Whether it was the way he ate, the way he worked, or how he approached his health, Paul always took responsibility for himself. It was advice he shared often, and it stuck with those around him, not as a throwaway line, but as a piece of wisdom from someone who truly lived it. Paul Lovric left our world on Tuesday the 22nd of July 2025 and will be sadly missed by many. I'd now like to invite Paul's son Paul to come forward, and he's going to share with us.
I wrote a few things down this morning, and I wrote Plan A and Plan B, and I think I'm going to go with Plan B because I'm a little emotional about losing my father. But I want to tell you about what a humorous guy he was. And I don't know whether he was intentionally humorous or whether it was part of his nature. There was also the fact that he had a very deep Bosnian accent. And whenever he spoke, you never knew if he was angry or whether he was joking. And I want to tell you a particular time when my auntie Anna and my mum, who used to work at James Gerstkamp's father's caravan park, they were cleaners, and Dad would pick them up. It was an extremely hilarious situation. I wasn't there, but I remember hearing Anna talking about it and other people talking about it. And it involves a swear word, and I'm going to try not to say it, I'm going to use something else. But it's really funny. And it just typifies Paul's humour. So he was always pretty strict on his times and doing things, and he went to pick up Mum and Anna at about 11 o'clock when they were meant to be finishing. And as it is with accommodation, you know, there must have been extra people there, and they were late. And Dad's waiting in the car with the window down, tapping his fingers. And they might have been about 20 minutes late. Anyway, when they finally finished, they came walking back to the car, and Dad screams out, "I've been waiting, fuck!" Now, I don't think he meant to be funny. That was just the way he was. He ended a lot of sentences with that F word. Now, I thought that was just him, but in 2008 and 2009, I lived over there and I met all the relatives, and they are all the same. Not just his relatives, but everyone. Priests, old ladies, they all end their sentences like that. It's like an exclamation mark, verbally. Anyway, today we're going to put Paul in with Mum, and I bet she died 20 years ago. And I bet if we listen very hard, we're going to hear from down there, "I've been waiting, fuck!" So that's plan B. Plan A was to thank everybody for coming today, especially the people from the beach hotel who Dad saw every day. And I want to particularly thank Dr. Sykes, he went far and beyond when he looked after Dad. I remember him coming around visiting and giving him injections, and even Louise coming around and helping Dad. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. We're now going to see visual memories of Paul's life. while listening to some of his favourite music.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love with you.
It's a lovely collection of photos showing Paul's life. Paul and Simon would sincerely like to thank the doctors and the nursing staff at the Northwest Regional Hospital, also the doctors and the staff at Bass House Surgery for your wonderful care and support of their father. And as Paul mentioned before, they'd especially like to thank Dr. Barry Sykes for his friendship, care and regular visits to see how Paul was going. To everyone who have joined the boys here today, and to those watching on live stream, thank you for being part of this day, for your support and being here with them to honour Paul's life. We're sure that you all have fond memories of Paul, so with this in mind, the family invite you to join them for refreshments at Paul's favourite spot, the Beach Hotel, which will be following his burial service. Very shortly we'll be taking Paul to his final resting place, just over the way at the Burney Lawn Cemetery. You're most welcome to join us for his burial service. Please stand if you're able.
And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, that I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, and there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way,